Our second institution that is going to give a keynote address to close us off after this very successful day and a half is from the European Parliament. Now, unfortunately, he had planned to be here, but due to unforeseen events, was not able to make it. But MEP Ibán García del Blanco has managed to get away and send us this exclusive video. So let's have a look.
Good morning to all, and first of all, my apologies for not being there. I wasn't unable to attend this meeting as I would like, but let me tell you some of my insights about the important topic that we are dealing with today. Thank you, first of all, as well to the European Commission, the EUIPO, and the Patent Office of the Republic of Bulgaria for co-hosting this 2023 International Intellectual Property Enforcement Summit, and for granting me the privilege to provide some closing remarks, which is always a very useful exercise to reflect on the topics discussed and visualize the steps forward. Let me start by commending the organizers for succeeding in the engagement and gathering of a myriad of stakeholders, from governments and international decision makers to business of all sizes, to non-governmental sector, to law enforcement authorities, and to consumer representatives. Just judging by the quality of the attendees, their commitment and their contributions, the event has been a success. On the 5th edition of the summit, we have had the opportunity to tackle IP-related issues, focusing on how innovation and cooperation can best confront IP crime in the context of the European multidisciplinary platform against criminal threats, or how to address the upcoming EU Toolbox against counterfeiting and follow up on the adoption of the Digital Service Act, or stressing the importance of sharing best practices regarding the cooperation between right holders, intermediaries and enforcers, or assessing the challenges posed by counterfeiting and piracy and their effect on society, the environment and the economy. Today, in particular, discussions have titled towards the challenges of intellectual property infringements of SMEs. Certain data have not escaped our attention, such as that published by the 2022 IP SME scoreboard, that only 10% of SMEs report owning registered intellectual property rights. Yet, 93% of SMEs that have registered those rights have seen a positive impact resulting from their registration, or that 15% of owners of registered intellectual property rights have experienced infringement with the rights they own. The main takeaways of those figures on SMEs is that the intellectual property rights enforcement efforts are on the right path, and they are paying off. Yet, more actions need to be done to see more SMEs jumping on the bandwagon on intellectual property right registration. Why is in the interest of the European Union to see that happen? Because registration and enforcement of intellectual property rights is crucial for the sustainability of our industrial network. Because representing 99% of all businesses in the EU, SMEs are the backbone of our economy. Because SMEs employ around 100 million people, and we are committed to employment. Because SMEs account for more than half of European gross domestic product, and because SMEs play a key role in adding value in every sector of the economy. What else can be done to see our industrial network getting the most out of intellectual property rights? Definitely keep up on awareness and education strategies. Discussion on intellectual property rights enforcement often put the focus on the policy framework and on law enforcement. Yet, it is crucial to address the matter through awareness and education of our societies, especially of our younger generations, of the importance to respect the work and ideas of others. For that matter, the November 2020 Council conclusions on digital education in Europe's knowledge societies gave a strong political commitment to intellectual property in education and provided a clear impetus for the entire education community to step up efforts to bring intellectual property concepts closer to the pupils and teachers. On its end, the European Parliament, through its resolution of 25th of March 2021 on shaping digital education, underlines, and I quote in this regard, the need to recognize the legal and ethical principles related to intellectual property in the context of the increased creation and dissemination of educational digital content. At this point, I would like to acknowledge the work that EUIPO is doing to integrate intellectual property into nation curricula through an education network that uses adequate events. In short, the intellectual property in education project aims to promote creativity, innovation, aims to entrepreneurship and responsible digital engagement among young Europeans. The network gathers all the 27 EU education ministries, national intellectual property offices, and other EU European institutions and several umbrella organizations in the field of education. Additionally, in the context of the European Year of Skills 2023, the EUIPO launched in May this year the first module of a massive open online course on intellectual property essentials, with a view to upgrade the IP skills of all learners, from secondary schools pupils and higher education students to any interested person with no previous knowledge of intellectual property. Why are such initiatives important? Because each of and every one of us know, just by looking around us in our daily life, that while a large majority of Europeans are well aware of the threats that counterfeits pose to health, safety and the environment, a vast number of them still find it acceptable to buy fakes when the price of the genuine product is too high. The European Parliament is committed to intellectual property. In 2021, Parliament worked on the Commission Intellectual Property Action Plan to support the EU's recovery and resilience. Following the Action Plan, Parliament has worked, for example, on clarifying responsibilities of online platforms in the Digital Services Act, strengthening protection for geographical indications for wines, spirit drinks, and other agriculture products and foodstuffs, as well as launching protection of geographical indication for crafts and industrial products. This is quite recent, a quite recent negotiation at the trilogues and a high success. I was part of it. Just yesterday, the European Parliament approved the report on artificial intelligence, the report on Artificial Intelligence Act, which contains a transparency provision on the obligation to report on the used data subject to intellectual property rights on artificial intelligence language models, the data that is used for training. Parliament is already working on upgrading the design protection system and improving transparency and predictability in standardization patent licensing. The upcoming work will include the revision of the legislation on supplementary protection certificates, which comprise plant protection products and medicinal products. Before wrapping up, I would like to share some thoughts on live event piracy, which was the topic of one of yesterday's breakout sessions. Parliament is ready to start its work on the recommendation on combating online piracy of live content, and I look forward to diving into it. Europe should protect its investment in the cultural, creative and sports sectors by fighting those that drain our creativity economies and often reinvest their proceeds into criminal channels. This is why a specific legislative proposal to address piracy of live content, building on the DSA and other European legislation, is targeted, doable, legitimate, and ultimately timely. Piracy of live events and piracy of live sports and entertainment events has sparked a debate over the best way to expeditiously remove any reported illegal content. The European Commission Parliament has been passing the European Commission to propose legislation that would force the removal of pirated live content immediately. In May 2021, the European Parliament adopted the resolution Changes for Sports and Events Organizers in the Digital Environment, which calls on the Commission to propose legislation to tackle the piracy of live sport broadcasts. Nevertheless, these measures can equally benefit other live content sectors in Europe, including the broadcasting and live performance sectors. Such measures concern, notably the immediate removal of illegal live broadcasts from online services. The importance of addressing this issue underlying on the fact that live broadcasts have a limited economic value in time, which is the duration of the event. Consequently, the window for action against piracy is small, very small, I would say. As a response to tackle an issue that costs billions to our economies, the Commission proposed a recommendation, so-called recommendation, a non-legislative measure that offers a toolbox to fight the illegal streaming of live events, in particular sports events. As Parliament has consistently expressed, a non-legislative approach will allow intermediaries to continue to exploit existing ambiguities in the law and will not have the desired impact to deter the distributors of pirated content to continue with their activities, and will continue costing right holders billions of euros in lost revenue. Only a dedicated legislative instrument in the Commission work programme would have a real effect. Nevertheless, Parliament is already working to improve the proposal issued by the Commission. I'm going to be directly involved in discussions on the recommendation, and I will do my best to raise awareness on the issue, for example, by participating in the EUIPO's upcoming event on piracy of live events that will take place in October the 9th and 10th in their headquarters in Alicante. To finalize, I am positive that the Spanish presidency of the Council will work expeditiously to move forward on intellectual property-related files and help conclude negotiations in time for next legislative term. Congratulations, to wrapping up, congratulations to all for the organization of this successful event, and I look forward the next edition. In that case, I would hope that will be by attending personally to it. Thank you very much, and a good back to your homes. Thank you very much.